back to another episode of a Youth Perspective podcast, a podcast series brought to you by high school students in Calgary. In this week's episode, we share our thoughts on everything that is memes. I'm your host Aryan, along with the usual cast. We have a guy with us today who's going to talk all about
memes.
Julian, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'll be honest, this is a topic I've been wanting to talk to for a long time.
So, I think we should get right into it. This is a topic with a great controversy, right? Tell me about
Memes.
What is your definition of a meme?
I honestly believe that a meme can be any form of media that's spread virally. So that's not limited to pictures. It's much bigger than that. It's photos, videos, anything that goes viral within our communities.
So, actually, I have a question. So, in your definition, would you then report anything that is like news-like as a meme too? Because that would technically fit under your description.
Or just anything popular?
Yeah.
I want to say that memes have been more centered towards humor, not reporting on world news or anything, nothing serious. Like today with Harambe, it's not reporting on the death of Harambe, it's more making fun of the fact that he died and that we can make clever things out of him, out of his death.
So let's just go into the history of the memes. Where did memes begin? I'm talking very, very start.
Well, the word meme was first coined by Richard Dawkins, a biologist that wrote a book called The Selfish Gene in 1976. And in this book, he described memes as an inheritable trait, more like a gene passing from generation to generation, that self-replicates and mutates, and sometimes destroys itself. And relating that to modern day, it's almost like an idea or a topic that replicates itself and eventually destroys itself due to oversaturation of the meme. Mm-hmm. So you can see that today with Harambe and the fact that people have basically beaten the dead horse until the horse no longer exists. And nobody likes Harambe anymore.
So, Julian, in your opinion, what kind of platform, I guess, really set off the internet meme?
If I had to say, I'd say YouTube. When YouTube was first introduced, it gave people a place to post things that they found funny and things that they thought were important. And what a lot of other people do that wasn't that person posting was to see that content and develop a kind of opinion, an emotion about it. In the case of memes, that emotion is laughter. The videos that sparked laughter and humor and just kind of started memes as a whole was Charlie Bit My Finger. Now, in this video, in that video, the kid just gets his finger bit, and then 14 million people watched it, and everyone got a laugh out of it. Now, because I'm kind of giving a history of memes, I want to make something very clear. YouTube, throughout all of meme history, has always been a constant. It's always been there to promote memes because it allowed people to take the meme and put it on a public place for everyone to view it. So, Charlie Bit My Finger, that's an example of that. Later on, maybe prank videos, again, all supported by YouTube. Now, kind of getting off topic there, but after YouTube and Charlie Bit My Finger, and the video format kind of took off, then came kind of the cat photos. Now, I'm sure everyone remembers in their childhood the pictures of a cat, like Cat has a cheeseburger, and I'm sure
Playing the piano.
Oh yeah, piano cat, exactly, and hover cat, and all of those cats. Those, again, were just shared between people. People would just find these photos, they'd send them to each other on, I don't know what people used during that time, like, I think MySpace.
MySpace or like email or like basically like that, like a way to send to your coworker.
So we see a shift into a more liberal platform in which we can share information, and that's how memes evolved from the old sitcoms and like the comedy shows to now YouTube and social media.
Yeah, I think what Howard's trying to get at is that now the average person had the power to really access these
memes. Yes, they not only could access them, but they could develop their own memes and create new memes. They can contribute to this growing meme tumor. That's what I described it as. Exactly. Because by all means, this tumor has grown quite a lot. Yeah.
So So I think we all see memes as these pictures or GIFs or short videos that have captions at both the top and the bottoms.
Yeah, so when we talk about this use of YouTube as a format to further progress the memes, we see there's starting to have a dark tone to some of these compared to like the very innocent nature in terms of the cat photos, and those are all pretty harmless. But then you have things coming up such as like Two Girls, One Cup. So what is your opinion in terms of this kind of like dark humor that is starting to come out?
Oh boy, so it's around the time of Two Girls, One Cup, and I want to say, even to some extent, controversially, 9/11 during that time became quite a popular thing to put forth on the internet, okay? So we have people here who see this video called Two Girls, One Cup, and it's the most shocking thing, and I'm sure if we have any listeners right now who've seen it, you could probably agree with me.
Yeah.
And we also have the people who took a very dark incident in United States history and turned it into just almost a joke, right? So that also became popular. People have always liked dark humor, and when that became a thing, a lot of people fled to that. And it kind of started its own genre of meme almost. Like we have the cute innocent cat photos and all that thing, the memes that normal people would gravitate towards, and then we have the darker things such as 9/11 and Two Girls, One Cup that the other kind of people would go to, the people who, didn't like the normal stuff, let's say.
Yeah, so when we come to like this darker meme idea, do you think that, because basically what they're doing is they're distilling down the actual content of this event, specifically in 9/11, down to the point that it's so absurd that it's funny in some way, right?
Yeah.
And do you think that it's really a way for people to deal with the trauma of the events and these kind of taboo topics in society?
I think people find humor and shock value. Now, what that entails is, if you were to put, let's say, a picture of Hitler on a cat, okay? Initially, during this time, you would say, wow, that's a cat with a picture of Hitler's face on it. Haha, that's so random. Like, that's just Hitler with a cat face. I don't know what I'm going with.
I get your point though. It's just so weird, and there's like no real connection that you're just like, what? And then
I don't think people who have had trauma with these experiences
I've
actually go to
lived
the
through them.
memes. The people who make these memes have like very little connection to the actual meme itself. Like
Yeah, most of the time they're not serious about that event or incident.
yeah, like
That's
when people
why
say George Bush did 9/11.
A lot of people are serious, so let's be honest.
yeah, so like you said, there's a lot of people. We'll just talk about 9/11 for a sec, right? You have the people who legit believe George Bush did 9/11 versus the people who are satirizing this idea. So do you think that conspiracy theories do play a major part in terms of the development of a meme, and that it's a way to satirize these people who go into these conspiracy theories?
That is a very good point. Around the time of 9/11, there were so many ridiculous theories to come out. And I'm not just saying that Bush did it, I'm saying like reptile aliens and the Illuminati are taking down the Twin Towers.
Yeah, I see your point, because it's just like,
they're just so ridiculous. They're so, stupid. I think they should be scrutinized. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the absurdity that makes them funny.
And that's what I want to say. You know how I said that there's a dark side and kind of a normal side to memes? Yeah. The dark side has always been, I want to say, edgy. So what they do is they take something that is taboo and they turn it into something that's still taboo, but has a little bit of kind of a twist to it. So let's say in the 9/11, let's say we have a picture of 9/11, okay? And we have a picture of the two planes, of course, who impacted, very tragic. And for some reason, someone just replaces the planes with baguettes. Right? Yeah. It's just, you're taking this tragedy and you're making it unexpected and kind of fun, in effect. And that's why a lot of people who went towards dark memes gravitated towards that, because it wasn't normal.
yeah. And in terms of like these two styles of memes, do you think that this is where we got the evolvement into just memes just became
Dumb.
it was
Stupid stuff.
that society regards as these are all the dumb people in society.
And
they're doing the
the
dumb
meme-
stuff.
And the meme started to plateau at this point, or what happened?
I think the think this is where the two communities of memes start to diverge. It's not plateau really. So we got the people mainstream, and we got people who go towards the edge, right? So the mainstream throughout history went on to Star Wars Kid, Rick Rolling, epic fails, and then upwards to today Harambe and dabbing.
Yeah.
Well, you could say that Harambe did become a dark side meme after a while.
And I'll get to that later, but what I was getting at was the mainstream memers went one way, and the dark people just kind of got pushed off to the side, but they still had their own community. Okay, so these guys, the dark side was not really acknowledged by the mainstream, but it still existed, and that comes into play later in the meme history.
So when most of us imagine memes, we imagine these pictures or videos that have captions both at the top and bottom telling us about some satirical fact or something like that. So when did the memes really start to evolve into this modern form?
Right around the time of the cat photos, honestly. But the modern top text, bottom text are, in most instances, just top text these days. It really came from the 2010 memes where it would have a picture of a raptor or some kind of backdrop and it would have a top text and bottom text. And it would say something funny.
But just, I guess, not really about the words of it, but I wanted to really know when we got this shift from, basically it's personal created content, so the Star Wars Kid and the cat memes are basically personal content that was created by themselves, to this, we have this new shift in terms of the top text, but they're using content from, publicized shows, such as, I know there's a lot of Arthur memes from, cartoons or SpongeBob or, things like that, about that shift?
How did that shift?
I think that happened with the explosion of media, because beforehand you had sitcoms and you had those type of things, but now you have animated shows and you have all these different things which could be made into more funny situations, unlike sitcoms where we just have people in them. You have these weird-looking characters who could be made to say funny things, such as The Simpsons, such as SpongeBob, and you just got a new form of meme.
So, I guess in terms of this progression in memes, do you think this progression time-wise and format-wise in memes has affected how society has changed?
I want to go back to the edgy people. Okay. Now, these people have been, whenever national tragedy happens anywhere in the world, once again, we have these people who are taking really tragic events and turning them into humorous forms, right? These people progressively, as time goes on throughout meme history, only satirize these things. So it would have been 9/11, it would have been Syrian refugee crisis, all these things, they just parody throughout all meme history. Now, again, I want to make this very clear, the normal stream is very independent of this. It doesn't have to do with world events, for the most part. It just has to deal with a video someone posts or pictures that someone posts that just ends up going viral. And it explodes. People just really like it.
So you just talked about how these edgy people are really sticking to their own, I guess you can say, path in terms of parody and satire. Well, you have this diverge between the edgy and the normal, but would you say that the normal stream was really focused on making memes out of these world events or media, while the other way around. Dark was mostly focused in terms of world news, media, etc., while the common was more focused around just self-created content.
Yeah.
And because right now we see there's definitely a blur in terms of these two ideas. It's not really the popular memes. They're not really edgy, but they're also still talking about world events, and yet there's some personalized content that is really dark. So what would you say about this blur and this shift again?
So this happened around 2010 with the top text, bottom text memes. What began to happen was these two paths, for whatever reason, I think maybe it was just a shift in pop culture, maybe dark humor was becoming more accepted. But for some reason, these two divergent paths eventually came together. And I want to say that they came together the moment the Harambe meme was posted.
But why the Harambe meme? because you do have stuff like 9/11 that seems to be on parallel in terms of the Harambe meme.
No, by all means, 9/11 was more edgy and more worse, but maybe that's why it was, rejected by most people. Harambe was a very odd incident. It was involved a girl getting shot because a kid fell into his enclosure. It's not as dark as 2,000 people getting killed in an explosion or a crisis that spans countries. It's more of just a gorilla getting shot. Okay.
Oh, and also, I'd like to say that although this is an example of a popular culture picking up a dark side meme, but there's been many more instances of the dark sides of memes picking up popular culture, like the top text, bottom text thing.
Yeah, and that's something I want to get into. That's one thing that spread from the dark side of memes were ironic memes. Now, these memes parodied the ones that we found on the mainstream. So you'd have a rigmarole that would lead into 9/11, for example, or something with a dark twist to it, or just something that makes no sense. Like, you'd have a rigmarole, except the rigmarole is like backwards, and it's just distorted and stupid, right? It's just meant to show how kind of stupid the mainstream is at sometimes. And the dark side just loves to do that throughout history too.
Oh, and also the one example I was going to give is the top text, bottom text thing, where they just type, for the picture, they would type in the top text, but they would just leave the bottom text as the phrase bottom text, so that would be in the meme itself. So they were satirizing just how the formatting of the meme.
So it's a meme within a meme, yes. And that's what the dark side loves to do.
Okay.
And that's what the dark side loves to do. They like to take a meme format, okay, either one that's based off tragedies or one that's based off the normal mainstream, and they like to just kind of take it to the point of absurdity. See, you can see that with 9/11. Maybe you can, because you've never seen these.
So has memes become a new form of media almost?
I think it's not a new form of media as it is the use of already existing media. So, we've always had photos, we've always had video, and people have been using these forms of media to create memes. It's just straight up how my opinion is that memes are nothing new. It's like any short-term fad or any short-lived convention that we have hit throughout history. For example, fashion trends that have died out throughout the years or have come back as cycled around. Right, so memes are just like those. They're nothing new, and you don't have that big of an impact on society because they are so short-lived.
See, I feel like memes are
They don't so much impact society as they are a reflection of it. Honestly, 30 years as they seem so real.
I would disagree with that one, because unlike a fashion trend or something that goes away in a couple of years, memes have stuck around for like at least 30 years. They've been a really reflection of society, similar to how fashion trends reflect the society.
So Howard brought up an interesting point about how memes are sort of temporary and how they will go away in a while almost. So what do you guys think about memes, and where do memes go from here? What is the future of memes?
I guess in terms of the future, we should really start with Harambe, right? Yeah. And how we talked earlier about we had this separation.
Well, much like Howard said, memes go through a cycle where they're very popular, and once again, I want to emphasize this, memes are viral. They go viral between groups of people. So what happens is these viral pictures, these viral videos, they get melt to the point where people distorted almost. Yeah, like they don't find it funny anymore, and then they just kind of die off. It's a cliche. Yeah, it becomes cliche, right? So much like hydras, from that comes another one and another one and another one. Like they're never ending unless you kill the fire.
So do memes have a future? Memes are here to stay?
Of course they are. With every single meme that's died out somewhere, from Rick rolling to Harambe, there's always going to be something to replace it. And I think because of our history of memes, you can see that for sure.
So I guess in terms of our discussion of where the future of memes go, I guess the most important thing we should look right now, I guess, is in terms of how the Harambe has really caused a complete shift in memes once again.
I think in the future, it's actually very important to note that since memes are basically anything that is viral, memes will basically last for a very long time because anything that goes viral will technically be a meme.
So along with these like this idea of the viral and just coming back to the trends, do you think in terms of the cycle of the meme process itself, how it moved from like this still self-creation, and then it diverged into satirizing like world events, and then finally you had this other just the common meme.
Kind of self-contained, yeah, self-contained.
And then we're finally moving into the shift in terms of it becoming blurred.
It's becoming very blurred these days, and maybe it's because of all this media that people are becoming more desensitized to world events and they feel more disconnected. Maybe that's why these lines are starting to blur, and I'm willing to bet money on that. But
I'd actually like to disagree with you on that point, because in terms of what I think we have this blur is not really necessarily a desensitization to world events, but more of a desensitization to the traditional taboos that are set within society, because we, as a society, we have made so much progress in terms of racism, sexism, and then all these other different kind of things that were considered taboo, sex, drugs, blah, blah, blah. These things have all become normalized, especially through government laws such as the legalization of marijuana, and etc. So
just media, Hollywood. Just like, I know what you're saying, and quite frankly, I kind of meant what you said. Mostly meant what you said. It's just, people are becoming, taboos are becoming less taboos. They're becoming more source of humor because of how almost out of the norm they are. They're still out of the norm, but they're not as, life or death.
Yeah, I get it. They're becoming much more normalized.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's when the two paths, the dark and the light, kind of come together at Harambe. Because right now we're at the point where we're not very sensitive about these taboos, okay? And memes, the mainstream is kind of taking these.
So, like, you're talking about how these dark, edgy kind of things were moving from purely satirizing to just as a whole community that are developing memes, they're making satirizations in terms of this, and as a society, since we've been so desensitized to different taboos, these are acceptable as a common stream now, instead of like a taboo dark side of memes.
There's no distinct dark or light anymore because of, fading of these lines, these taboos.
I would just like to point out there still
Kind of is a separation between the dark and the light.
No, don't get me wrong, the mainstream hasn't fully accepted all of the conventions of, I want to say, the dark side.
I also want to say that the dark side, conversely, also really, really, really rejects the light side.
Yeah,
Like really.
really, really reject it. I mean, to the point where they still do the usual thing that I've made that clear. They just satirize world events. But when those get beaten to death, sometimes none of them doesn't come up. And during those times, people literally just satirize the mainstream. And that's how they get their kicks.
Yeah, I guess for one final question, we have been paying attention to the recent election, obviously, with our previous podcast. And then we know the results. Donald Trump was elected. So I guess I want to ask, in terms of this blur between memes, how does this really, I guess, reflect both on society itself and their decision to choose something like Donald Trump that has been memed about a lot, that has created the same kind of absurdity that is seen with memes, and how the country's decision to really choose this option is choosing memes, and because of
feel free to give us examples based on the recent ones.
Okay, so I know a lot of experts say today that Trump won because he understood media. He preached on Facebook and all these platforms to people that, of course, residents of the U.S. And for some reason, that exposure made people like him more. You can see that with his Facebook page, right? Every single day he would live stream his speeches, his rallies, and hundreds or thousands of people would show up and watch that, right?
Yeah.
And you never saw anything like that from Hillary, right?
Yeah.
So, because Trump understood media, okay, he won that election, and because he used media, he also used memes. Now, this is kind of hard to explain. I want to say this is another instance where the light and the dark blur, because what I saw during the time when Trump was running for election, people started to the dark side almost started to make like pro-Trump ironically, like support Trump because he's such an idiot. Like literally, the light side was already saying support Trump. Yeah, literally started saying support Trump. Started saying support Trump.
They said we're involved in the election, as in going out to elect Donald Trump. You know, they support him by posting stuff on their Facebook feed or something. But I don't think any memes were really created by. Many memes were created by the light side.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. People supported Trump unironically, of course. And they would post their articles and there's links to Trump's speeches, and they would just support him. And then, of course, the dark side, who would normally parody this kind of thing, also supported him. Okay, so what happened was Trump had almost this monopoly of media, let's say, and that just led to it winning, just straight up.
And will Trump continue? After he gets elected,
I can almost guarantee you.
after he goes into office.
We've had like the Obama up in
Also Joe Biden and Obama leaving office.
Yeah.
And
Let's
all
be
those
honest here.
news.
Trump, the words that come out of Trump's mouth, they're not going to stop. And
But I think the reason why Trump won is because Hillary herself embodied that cliche meme that we're all desensitized to. So because Trump represented a new way, like a new meme, right? So we don't like to stick to the traditional ways, like of the politician, of the conventional do-good politician.
I don't think that's...
that's
not really
stretching it.
like to a certain degree, like on the base of it, Trump meant change, and just from a purely political view, that's what people wanted. But I think in terms of when we're talking about memes, all of his hate speech was
into
memes.
because it was turned into almost positive
Memes.
because of their irony.
Yeah, the
irony in it.
Yeah.
When you guys say that the memes affected the outcome of the result, I mean,
I'm not
the
saying
outcome.
we're not saying.
Let's bring something out here that's really important again.
A meme is anything that's virally shared.
So what we have here is people virally sharing this hate speech. It's getting all over social media. Hillary's not doing the same with her rallies and stuff, right?
And if you saw it during the media during the campaign, sometimes Hillary just wasn't on like the main page, and it was just filled with Trump.
It's just
and he
Trump.
was everywhere, every single media outlet you went to.
And even the
media,
they all
there.
helped promote Trump.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at is that memes are more a reflection of the society that we're living in. The media coverage is kind of separate from the realm of the memes. Because
you see, I think during the election it heavily influenced, like dramatically, and you could see that because who
see that edit of the guy saying China, or Trump saying China like 800 times? Oh yeah, yes. Like that would be an example of a meme.
and that's an example of something Trump, something that's been taken viral by Trump.
So final question: what is your one favorite?
I've always loved ghetto memes.
The ones that are produced in
The less fortunate parts of America.
Okay. I guess for me, honestly, it's kind of weird, but I do like the
meme.
mostly because as a singer, it appeals to me because it's a song. But it's so stupid on that
Actually,
point.
really like the recent
Meme.
with Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and Barack Obama
That's pretty.
My favorite meme's Pepe because
the diversity that we use with his faces and that it's...
Well, my favorite meme is the bottle flip.
Okay.
For all the listeners right now, he just
He tried.
He tried.
please like throw rocks at him or something.
But yeah, I guess as a final comment before we end, how people attach themselves to liking meme was because of its absurdity, its tackle of the taboo, and I think that's what is reflected in terms of people liking Trump as well.
Yeah,
Right.
You can see it. You can see it today for sure.
Thank you all for listening. That is all the time we have for this week's episode. Check us out on youthyyc.org, where you can find more episodes and related content. That is youthyyc.org. This is a Youth Perspective, signing out.